This is usually the part of the beginning of the stream where there's like an echo or you can't hear me or whatever. This is the traditional technical difficulties part, so let me know if this sounds good before I start going into anything too much. Am I in the right directory? I got the right directory. Oh, you're good. Yay! Wow, okay. First time for everything. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris. I work on Stonehearth. Most of you probably knew that. Oh, God, I need to go change the name of the thing. I always knew there's something. The name of the stream. Stephanie will yell at me if I don't. Is it a building day? You're damn right it's a building day. Edit. Stonehearth. Dev 107. Luke streams design? Not anymore. This is Chris talks building again. Did I spell everything correctly? I think I spelled everything correctly. That'll do. Okay. Poor Chris. Yes. I get to be harassed by everyone who wants to know. No harassment. Plus, I got lots of fun stuff to show you. It's been a while, actually. When was the last time? November? October? Chris streams are pure hype. Pure, unadulterated. Yeah, that's what everyone says. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm working. If you don't know, I work on building, and specifically the complete redesign of building to make it something that's really fun and performant and doesn't suck and stop and ruin your game and whatnot. So I'm gonna go right into it actually. Let's do the thing. Make run building test. Oh, of course, that's gonna block that. If you've been following, and if you know a little bit, you're going to see the old UI, and I apologize for that. We are literally, our sort of sprint ends in, I guess, tomorrow, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. We're going to basically go and rip the whole test UI that you're about to see, this nonsense over here, apart. And that's great. Yeah, Nikki's been working on a new design, and so, this is good because now, okay, we're working on the UI, we're working on the UX, we're polishing. There's still lots of edges and things, but things are starting to. I don't want to say put a bow on anything yet, but we're getting pretty close. And so I'm going to actually demo a little bit of that here. You've definitely seen rooms. You've seen rooms on top of rooms before. You probably have not seen rooms that I can change the height and then stuff goes and adjusts along with it, and we can drag things now and move them around, which is pretty cool. Oh, why are you jumping? Oh, you're scared of the stream, aren't you? And then what else? You've seen free walls, of course. You haven't seen blocks yet. So multicolored walls. Oh, yeah, we could talk about that. You haven't seen paint yet either. Hole doesn't work. Up and down. I don't know if you've seen that. This is how we're going to peel away structures. Oh, I got RPG view mode now working with the new building editor. This is also using an efficient thing, so you can have lots and lots of stuff everywhere, and it won't slow you down when you're in the RPG mode. I'm sorry it's taken 2 bloody years to get to that point. Justin got roofs in. We have a roof tool, so I can go like this. And now I got a roof, and I can be like, oh no, I don't want that over here. I'm going to move it over like that. And now I have a roof that's over like that. Why are you jumping? Oh, I know why you're jumping. I changed the flush semantics. I should go back. But no one put that in there. Yeah, I'll go and fix it later. We can adjust the height of the roof like that. We can pull it back down. I can adjust the sides and whatnot like this. And if you don't want drop walls, we can turn that off as well and whatnot. The red is probably deprecated. I don't think it's just a thing where we can do this offset, and that existed in the old building system because we couldn't do this. But now we can do that. So maybe we don't need that crap anymore. So let's see. That's roofs. Just in sort of a basic nutshell. We've got some roof designs that I probably haven't even tested working yet, but it's close enough. We can actually get them in there. We can start playing with it. When you select a Hearthling and look right at them in the newest release, they appear with no eyes. That is really strange. If I do that, let me turn off the building mode. I don't know if I'm, yeah. Might be a rendering thing. Maybe, do you have an ATI graphics card by any chance? Or AMD, I should say. That's strange. I've never heard of that. We'll have to go, we can take a peek. Actually, send your system specs. That'd be super useful. I think dual watchtower for archers. Oh, I'm not good enough to do that. Does it mean we're going to have windows that can be moved after being placed? There's a window and put it over there. Oh no, I don't want it over there. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Guys just seems underwhelmed today. No, I'm just making sure the things I want are in. Will be an easier way of adding new textures. All right, let's do it. Let's talk about blocks. This was fun. I was like, oh, this could be such a hard tool. Oh my god. Oh, the tool is so difficult. How is it going to be? Now it worked really well. Let's add some blocks. So this is your arbitrary voxel tool, and I just drew out some blocks on the ground. Cool. I can also draw blocks on the side and stuff like that. I can draw blocks on other stuff as well. And so that's the idea, is that we can go and we can attach things. This is a good way of making ornamentation and whatnot. Now, if you so desired, you could go and I'm gonna put a block there and another block and another block and another block. Oh, I'm making my tower. Isn't this cool? No, this is not cool. This sucks. We don't want to do it. That's lame. That's the old building editor. This is the new hotness today. Okay. So I can click. Ooh, and I got a little thing. What you can't see is I actually selected I selected a single voxel element out of this. I can drag on my yellow guy, and now I got it, and it came up. Cool. I can drag over here, and it comes up. Okay. I can multi-select. So I can drag a couple of them, and they go up. Isn't that nice? I can then drag. Whoop! I leave building mode. I can go and. Oh, what's going on? Oh, I'm clicking stuff. Oh boy. Okay, I gotta go and rationalize a bunch of stuff with the existing selection utility. I can click and I can go in this direction as well. So it's not just vertical. It's like whatever normal you're clicking on, you're dragging it in that direction. Okay, that's pretty cool. But also, I don't really want to go and do voxel by voxel editing necessarily. It's nice to be able to go just drag select, drag up a big block like that. And I can drag select, and we can do another big block. And there's no wrong answer. You can just drag. Oh, I can of course drag stuff around. I can make a hole in a thing. You can double click. That will select all the contiguous regions, and then you can pull up like that. So if you do something kind of sophisticated, and you have a bunch of little things like this, you can just go, and it'll keep the holes open like that. You can drag it. And now finally, as if that weren't enough, it's a little bit bland looking as it is. It'd be nice to add some color to this. So I can just go and I can cancel out my tool. Again, old UI, this is a temporary UI, we don't really want things like this. I can go and I can select some other little, oh, and I have to cancel. Let's get some Yukon gold. And I can just paint over stuff. I can just paint over all that. And I can also just paint over the walls of my rooms, because it'd be more fun if you could just do painting on everything. So yeah, arbitrary voxel tool, arbitrary paint tool. This is just the beginning. I mean, well, it'll be something anyway. I'm not entirely sure how you guys are going to use this, so I'm going to let you go and play with this. We'll see what you do. But yeah, this is a lot of fun. This is like. You get lost in this very, very easily, as I'm sure you can imagine. And let me actually, go and catch up on stuff. Does that mean we get the mining tool to work like the one you're dragging on surfaces? Oh yeah, this would be great if it was like this for mining. Mining still pardon me, it doesn't suck. It's the old way. But this is actually, that would be an interesting means of selection. You could drag, you'd still have to, looking inside stuff is hard, but way, way easier than doing like a box select of things. That's a really neat idea. I hadn't even considered that. But to be able to go and take the sub-selection mechanism I have for the voxel tool and apply it to mining, that is a really interesting notion. This looks like a rudimentary 3D modeling program. Absolutely. I hope it stays rudimentary. I don't want to go and I mean, if you've ever used, I'm sure many of you used Cubicle or Magica Voxel, which is like, that thing's on fire. That thing is lit, as the kids today say. You could go really, really far, really, really deep with that sort of tool. I don't think we're going to go crazy about this. I think we're giving you a lot of functionality as it is. Certainly far better than what we had in the old editor. So hopefully this will be a very, very satisfying experience to use. I think it's better to improve the construction system instead of improving the aesthetics. Well, we're doing both. I'm assuming you're referring to the actual, Hearthlings need to be able to build things, consistently. That was the the focus of basically a couple months ago. Uh, the basically the core rewrite of how construction works, of how building works, in order to be much more reliable, much faster. And that's actually now I'm just in the process of finally integrating now the actual like sort of top half, the building UX, with the bottom half that's going to be this a much more reliable system. Is there a paint all option? Yeah, we should have that. Actually, there's a couple of things that are still missing, like being able to change the paint or the base color, if you will, of the, or I guess in the case of voxels, it will just be all of them. To sort of like do a flood fill on the contiguous region. We need to be able to, I think, separate in some fashion. I don't know how that's going to look or work, but to be able to go and say, either cut a portion of this off. We want to be able to also imbue semantics into the voxels. So meaning that, like, if you go and you decide to build like your house just out of the voxel tool, we want to be able to say, well, these are walls and this is the roof, and so they should disappear appropriately when you go into vision mode. Like when you do that, this is what you can see, and obviously nothing disappears over here because we don't know what should be a wall and what should be a roof and whatnot. Let's see what else. This sounds like sculptures will be horrendously easier. Yeah, this should be like I hope an order or two of magnitude more simple. Considering an option to export builds as QB files could be very well a good voxel editor. Yeah, a very roundabout way of doing it. Hopefully, other editors will provide a lot more, flexibility, but also a lot more difficulty for people that really want to kind of go nuts. Let's see. I will show you. So I was sure it was you that made the. Oh yes. Stephanie's just talking about the eye animations. Let's see. So, I have shown you. Oh, of course, and I almost forgot because it's voxels and it works just like everything else. And I'm clicking through. You can just go and put structures inside your voxel creations. So the idea is that again, this should function exactly as like regular, or I should say not regular, but the more traditional kind of building material, having roofs and whatnot. So that should. I think that's everything. I think that covers most of the stuff that's been happening. Justin's been in the middle of doing the stairs, which are actually done. He hasn't included the tool, or I haven't pulled the tool into my branch. Hole is not done. I think that catches you up more or less on kind of everything that's going down. Not really on topic, but will hearthlings still get stuck while mining a wall and need a ladder build to get them down? That's actually kind of on topic. So there is this sort of problem of stuck hearthlings where they go and they construct themselves sort of into a situation where they unfortunately cannot get themselves out to. There's some tech that's related to the new building system that's about connecting these sort of unreachable locations with ladders. So like, for example, I guess this guy over here, well, let's move this out of the way. Yes, like I said, it needs a UX pass. This guy is like, there's no way in, no way out. And as they're building it, it's entirely plausible that a hearthling could be stuck on the inside or would start on the inside. The new system, in some limited ways, can basically tell that, well, once these walls are up, this is sort of a disconnected region from the others. You can't get in or out here. There's no door that lets you go in there. The hearthlings won't be able to reach. So what we can do is we can actually go and it'll say, okay, but if you put a ladder like, over here down and over here down, these would now be connected, and so then you can reach one location or another. You can get out of that hearthling trap that you've made for yourself. It's going to work for building. For stuff like mining regions, it's a little bit more touch and go because we can kind of do these calculations for building, on sort of we kind of do it in almost like in a parallel universe. So when you're playing the game and then you design your building, you're like, okay, build. We will go and sort of copy the local region around where your building is going to be so that we can then go and do a bunch of really like kind of nasty building computations to figure out how stuff is, kind of wired up and hooked up. When we do it in sort of this parallel universe where like you can manipulate still and still play the game and you're not affecting this sort of little parallel universe. So doing that in universe is a little bit trickier, and we haven't stress tested in that respect. We don't know what the sort of the performance implications are going to be. I really hope we can. I hope we can kind of get that to the point where, yeah, if nothing else, your stranded Hearthling can be, if they can at least call out to help, that's one thing. But if they can figure out that they are and then build themselves a ladder, that would be pretty amazing. I think the simplest thing though is to actually have mining regions that like are just smart enough to like put some ladders down when you're building them, so that you just by default don't go and get yourself trapped. But even then, there's sort of related subtleties of topology and whatnot. What about sliding walls with paint or slab tool bits on it? I'm assuming you mean... This is Mally. Mally, you've been playing with it. I can do this. It moves. Or are you referring to this? So, like, what happens when you start resizing is the paint will stay there until you actually sort of make your commit, and then when you pull back, it's gone. I think that's the right behavior. The alternative is that we could, in fact, save that information, but then it just sort of hangs around forever, and if you never use it again, I guess I'm being a little needlessly paranoid, but there are some slight memory concerns about that, about just sort of storing these painted regions forever. And they could get confusing when you start interfering this with like other buildings and whatnot. So we could decide, we could talk about it. What about painting about a voxel to specify how the game should manage it? That is, so we've talked a little bit about can we build terrain with building and with the building tool? Could you put water? Well, okay, water doesn't make nearly as much sense, but like terrain is the obvious one. Yeah, like could this be ground? Could this be grass and whatnot? And it's not built into the system, but it's certainly like conceivable that you could go and relatively small number of changes extend it so that okay, actually this structure that you're building is really just grass and whatnot. And there's some important considerations there because you can kind of have it one way or another. Buildings are a little bit special. Yeah, they're voxels and they're in the universe, but at the same time, they know that they're a building. They know what they originally were supposed to look like. So if you imagine this gets damaged or something, the building will still be like, oh yeah, I'm a building. I'm supposed to have voxels right over here and whatnot. The terrain has no such memory. The terrain's very, very dumb and very, very simple. And so if you built a building in the editor but used terrain materials, would you expect it then to actually behave exactly like terrain, where you could just mine into it? Or would you expect it to behave like a building where you could kind of like, as we hope, be able to like, do some extensions and edit it or like repair it if it gets damaged? Like you can't mine a building once you build the building. Maybe you should be able to, but you can't. Because again, it's a little bit special. So yeah, if we could communicate that well to the user, I'd be happy to go and say, yep, you can make your terrain, you can put terrain right back, and make your hobbit whole and all that. I'm not sure how we communicate that well, and it'd be interesting to see if anyone has any like opinions on that in particular. This tool makes it super easy to make structures that will take 1 million pieces of wood to finish. Yes, Stephanie, it absolutely can. Yeah, and it really is like ridiculous. It feels very, very easy to just be like, oh, I want a new room. Boo-doo-doo, and there's my new room. And you can see we carve nicely into the surrounding rooms that way. And this is big. This is really big, and like that's how big a Hearthling is. They're small, and this guy's and like this takes a while. So what could we do? Could we go and we could have like a little tally counter, in the corner that's like, this many, building blocks, and could you give a vague estimate on how long it's going to take? It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if there's a way to kind of inform the user, or at least suppress some of the more gigantic attempts to create, massive castles that take up 3/4 of Stonehearth and 16 gigabytes of RAM. By the way, Stonehearth is now my most played game in hours on Steam. Wow, that's awesome. I'm sorry about. I can only imagine the number of unbuilt buildings you had to deal with it. When you build a room and a roof and then pull one of the walls around and the bits fall to the wall. Oh, when you build a room and a roof and then pull. Oh, yeah, I actually changed that behavior. So what Mally's talking about is this. So if I do this and I do this, so when I go and drag we drag the room, and this seems natural and correct, I think. But there are times when you would not want that. If I hold down Shift, I can just drag underneath, and I can move that guy around. Now, the other thing that can happen is that we can adjust this guy. We can pull out this arm of the building. It used to be the case that they would automatically drag whatever was attached to the top of the arm. And I still maintain that there are places where you want that. So if I hold down Shift, I get the old behavior back. This is especially important. If we do some blocks and we go and let me get a better color that'll actually show up. So if I put some blocks over here, like to just move this, like you could special case this, and you could say, okay, you actually do want to move things that are attached on your sides but not on top. Actually, and maybe that is the right thing to do. But there are also, I think, if you go and you make some blocks on top, maybe you want this to actually follow this. That's sort of semantically what you would want to have happen. So we're going to figure out exactly what all of this means. But right now, yeah, by default it won't. So these will be left hanging, and you can adjust them yourselves, or you can hold down the Shift key when going and doing the transform, and and that doesn't update correctly. Okay, that's good to know. And then it'll go and pull everything with it. So yeah, so there you go, Mally. I hope you'll like it. How about when building in water? Oh God. Actually, I think Albert got a bunch of building in water related bugs fixed. But what is constructing in water going to look like? I mean, look, as long as you have foundations in the ground, and the guys can swim and they can do all the stuff they normally do. So, they can do it, but it won't be like floating on water. We want some sort of, physical route that grounds the building. Any plans to expand on the preset building templates in the game? Definitely. Yeah, Allie would probably have more to say on that than I. I can barely draw as it is. Watching her use this is quite a humbling experience. I think a simple warning is good. Yeah, we'll see. Someone should try to make a convention center so Stonehearth and see how realistic the Hearthlings' movements and behaviors fit in it. A large convention center, and then what would they be? Would it be like a tech convention? And we can have, or actually, we could do PAX. We could do a Hearthling PAX con, and then and then the Hearthlings can build stuff. Oh God, I don't know if I should tell you this, because it's not going to go into stock Stonehearth. I think it's just going to go into a mod. So Albert was working on the water sim, and Albert managed to sort of hack in floating crates, and floating crates that could actually disrupt water flow, which meant that he was able to make water switches, like water not gates and water nor gates, which meant that he was able to actually make a 4-bit adder out of water and crates, because like the water would flow through a channel and the crate would drop, and that was almost like the transistor getting sort of powered by the water, and then depending on where the other crates were, then water would flow to another transistor, which would then cause the crate to flow up, and so Stonehearth briefly became Turing complete and self-aware. So we had to pull the plug on that. Yeah, there's actually lots of fallout. It's a really badass thing. It's really cute. I don't know that it affects the gameplay and beyond crazy people like myself and him that would want to build things like that. But yeah, so we could have a Stonehearth PAX, and then we could have little Hearthlings that are making their own Stonehearth, and then I don't know. Guys, don't do it with Lua. It's not a great language for this. Let's see what else. Just realized there's no music. Oh yeah, I'm not. No, I generally don't. Music would be a little bit distracting for me personally. So hopefully you don't get too underwhelmed. Let's be straight, Stonehearth. When building water inside, I've been gone so long. Will water leave the inside of the building? Oh, Michael Handy! Holy crap! Jeez, I was reading the text, not the name. Welcome. Yeah. Will water leave the inside of the building? Yes, it should. It should flow correctly with thanks to Albert's new work. And I don't know if that's on develop yet, but will be. I guess you'll see more correct water flowing, handling edges and contours of building correctly, and leaving it. So yeah, that should happen. Michael, you'll be interested to know, Hearthlings now build from the ground up in a very layer by layer, base structures to higher level structures to higher level ones. It's funny, I didn't even intend it to work that way, but this was a conversation that Michael and I had about. He was like, why do they just keep going like just build like this huge top of the spire. And I was like, don't you want that? And he was like, no, nobody builds that way. And so now the Hearthlings aren't going to build that way anymore. Um, you can't talk about water logic and not have it ever come in. I didn't say it was never going to come in. It'll probably come in as a mod. Because I know that Albert, like, yeah, it was really fun. It was like a 5-minute presentation of like showing us all the gates and all the logic cells that he had built. So I would be extremely unhappy myself if it doesn't make it out. But it probably destabilizing enough and probably enough side effects that we would want to keep it out of sort of the mainline Stonehearth. But yeah, so fingers crossed. I'm sure it'll come out. Properly, blah, 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 blah. What about water crops? Yeah, I want them to. I think you'll need to sync, which Albert will write someday. He says it'll take him 2 hours. He's just super short on that. Well, it's two engineering hours, so, whatever that ends up inflating to. Keep the AI for not fidgeting. Yeah, the AI should be handling. The AI is, I find, a lot less bad when it comes to building now. There's still some, like, suboptimal, like they're waiting for something or they're waiting for a release when I don't think they should be. But between just the much more sensible building layout and the much sort of improved sort of logic around what can be built, you should notice that like stuff should get built. Oh yeah, and the reduction in scaffolding as well. You should notice that a lot of stuff just like happens a lot faster. Yeah, with plans to create actual boats. Oh god, actual boats would be awesome. That's hard. That's hard within the current system to have moving voxels that are not entities that can interact with like water and that can host other ones. Like there would be a lot to think through on that. Let's see. So yeah, I guess that's where we are. Should I try building something? I'm kind of curious to see if they'll be able to handle some of this stuff. Like this, there are still some stuff that they will not be pleased about. They will not be pleased about overhangs, which this doesn't look like it has. I don't know. I've been slowly getting like, just doing basic stuff like, let me show you. Let's do a new room. Or actually, oh wait, this is all one building too. Oh, that's another important thing. Everything I've built here is actually, ridiculously enough, part of one building. So if I go to like another building, I've never done this, let's try it. I can just go to like next. Oh, and of course that doesn't work. Okay, never mind. We won't try that. The idea is to have buildings are now no longer just contiguous structures as they were, which was more intuitive in a sense. Well, in some ways it was intuitive. You could just start kind of plopping things down, and as you connected, then that was generally, or at least a lot of the time, what you wanted was to actually sort of treat things as that were all connected as one logical building and things that were disconnected as different buildings. But there were also like places that were really annoying where like you wanted to place like patio furniture or whatever, like literally just like chairs in front of a structure. It wasn't logically part of the building because it wasn't connected. So we're breaking that. We're going with this concept of and this is actually broken now? Yeah, it's broken now. Okay, I'll have to go and exit and come back in. We have a kind of a discrete mode for working in a building. And I think we're going to still kind of work through some of the UX implications on that. But the idea is that you would then have like an entire template could be like a contiguous structure plus like a little house, plus like, again, sort of like furniture and patios and stuff around. And then you'd be able to say, by the way, I want to work on a new building. And so it'll go and it'll kind of shift your focus and you'll be able to like work on another kind of discrete building that'll have, potentially discontiguous parts and whatnot. It should be allow for more flexibility. It might be slightly less discoverable, but hopefully we can fix that with some UX iteration. Oh, lots of chatting. What's going on now? Let's say no on the boats. Yeah. I would imagine that'd be like a totally different game in which you built cities on the backs of floating turtles, fed the turtles regularly. Yeah, that would be an interesting thing, but that is not quite what we were doing. Just float in the water, giving the look of lapping in the water. Yeah. Something decorative would be really nice. Yeah. No frozen water. I suggested it to Albert, and he gave me this awful look. Yeah, that's a good sign that we probably don't want to do that. Somebody blackmail is what you're saying. Yeah, his first thought was just to expand as it freezes. Oh, yeah, and then we'll just deform the terrain around the edges, and yeah, totally simple, no problem. What happens if you push the big build button? Does the game should not explode. If I go and I do this, and I do I have a wooden door, and I do that. Oh god, no, I don't want to do that. Oh god, what am I doing? Let's go back. Oh, really? Wow. Why did they lose focus? Just because I did that? Let's try that again. I mentioned there are some edges here, guys. There's one or two corners. I just didn't want to put the oh, it's the flush again. Damn, I fix one thing and then I break another. Okay, I'm gonna have to go and like actually think that through a little bit more because clearly that's just not working. Yeah, let's move that guy over. Let's do this guy over here. We'll do that. Now we have a nice that. If I push the big damn build button. Oh, now I pushed the big damn build button. The green is just a visualization for me, so I know that they're like, oh, I want to work on this part of the building. And so they're just building the stuff. Why did you want to build a... Oh, that's interesting. Why would you build a connection? This looks to me, unless I'm totally out to lunch, like an adjacency ladder. But they would only need that if they were actually convinced they were going to get trapped. Oh, maybe because... Oh, yeah. I might... Yeah. Ooh, and now they're really confused about something. Where are you guys going? Oh, no, they're not confused. They're doing it in a really weird way. Yeah. Why are you doing that in such a weird way? That is really, really, really interesting. Or maybe it's just a bunch of stale paths. I should take a look at that as well. Always with stuff. Always things to do. Yeah, you got it right there. Put it in there. Yeah, and this is another little thing that you'll notice is that... so actually, that was a neat one. Oh, this was actually pretty cool. Oh, yeah, and there's no destroy method. Sorry. They finished these two blocks. Okay, so a couple things. So before the doors were like a wall would be done in one logical group irrespective of the holes that are inside it, and then you would sort of put the door in afterwards, and doors were kind of special, and walls were kind of special, and walls knew that there were doors inside them, and so now none of that is happening anymore. Now it's all just like rectangular blocks. And this happened to, it was a wall in its previous life. It was a wall on the UX side. And then it gets sort of deconstructed into little parts. And so you saw that they built the sides of this up first because, yeah, they were disconnected parts and there's a big hole over here, so we'll build the sides up. And then they stopped and they put the door in. And then they didn't even have to go and build scaffolding to get this little sort of archway over the door over here. And they did this because they knew, because we're using this topology service, that they could just reach this part without having to build anything extra. So this is the thing that we're going to see now as a sort of a major kind of improvement in the building system is like they're smart enough to say, oh, I don't need to go and like, in fact, if we put a roof on this thing, you'll even see. Let's try it. Let's press our luck. They're smart about not having to go and waste time building scaffolding for stuff that they know is reachable. They're not perfect. They're not perfect in knowing that structures are actually... Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn on blink because I don't want to wait. They're not perfect or like, I should say not perfect. They're not optimal in knowing what exactly is reachable. They don't take scaffolding or future scaffolding into account. But yeah, so let's actually just take a look at, this should be a good example, assuming this builds. It built once, did before when I was testing this. So we'll do that, we'll do this, and then we'll go and we'll actually put a roof on this guy. And before, if you remember, we always do the thing where we put a bunch of scaffolding around the entire, in fact, I'm going to flip this around the side of the roof. Around the entire circumference, and we had to do this. There was nothing we could do. We couldn't go and do anything else because we didn't know enough. We didn't have the information in the old system. Whereas here, if I do this, okay, and now we got blink mode engaged, which is cool. So now they're nice and fast. And again with a topology. Why do you think this was unreachable? You're very strange. Okay, well, we'll worry about it some other time. It's certainly not hurting. It just looks a little bit strange. So they'll finish this, and they'll finish all the bottom stuff first. They'll get to that. They'll finish that part, and then, oop, I don't know what that was about. And yeah, and like, that's pretty much it. don't have to build stuff around. They're building these ladders to make sure that they can actually reach some of the tops, and I would say a little bit unnecessarily. But didn't need to go and build scaffolding around the top. Didn't need to go and do that ring around because there was no need. Didn't even need to build it over here either because they could reach everything. And as they were building out these pieces, they knew they could reach everything. So yeah, you should see a lot less scaffolding in the future. Oh, and I can't do RPG mode because it's not hooked up to the structures. It only works for the widgets. Sorry, I have not been paying attention to what has been going on here. Yeah, look at all the work we've been doing on buildings since last time. Throws an error. Yep, that's programming for you. Luckily, they're not terrible errors, so I'm pretty. I'm feeling okay about this. Now with the new building system, after I build a house per se, can I add it, expand it in a word, adding it? So that is the goal. The goal is, once you've done this, we would like to be able to go open up the editor and say, yeah, I want to be able to pull out this wall this way. Nothing is completely preventing us from even actually playing around that right now, in fact. The system, the way it works, is it's sort of like, it kind of looks at what's in the we compute this plan. We start with like you've done your widgets, you've edited everything, and you've come up with what you think it looks like a good building, and then we do a couple things where we sort of convert those widgets into these sort of like simpler forms, these little building pieces that we then assemble. But before that, and this is actually, okay, it's not actually implemented, but like it's not hard. We can look at what is there already in the universe, and we can say, hey, is there something there, or is there something not supposed to be there? Like, is there an old piece of the structure that should be removed, or is there did we move something around that now should go there? We basically diff. We're diffing. We're taking the difference between what is supposed to be there and what is actually there. And after that, it goes through exactly the same process that we do to actually construct this building, which is we figure out all the dependencies, we figure out what's on top of what and whatever, and we build up this sort of structure, and then we go and we do this topological thing where we go and start pulling pieces out and figure out what's connected to what and constructing this sort of building plan. We actually build it in reverse. That's how you do this. You start with the completed structure and say, what could I build right now, assuming that, I had appropriate like ladders to get me to like wherever I needed to, and you could say, oh, well, the top of this thing. And so we say, okay, we're gonna build the top of that, and then we pull that piece off, and then we kind of just keep doing that recursively. And yeah, and like that's agnostic to everything. That doesn't care that, oh, some of these pieces were here before and some of these pieces were moved or whatever. None of that matters. So in theory, he says, knowing what kind of trouble he gets himself into, in theory, once we sort of solve the UX problems and some of the gameplay issues as well, because you do have these situations where it's like you do some editing or you do some renovations, and maybe you end up having like holes in the building that you can't reach, or the hearthing can't reach. Like they'd have to actually remove something that they're not going to be able to remove at all. It's physically impossible. How do you deal with that? But like, maybe there's some stuff that we could do there. A little bit of magic. Like, speaking of magic, I think we're just going to pull all the scaffolding off. We're not going to do the whole scaffolding teardown thing. That's why it's throwing the errors. I'm in the middle of writing that code that just basically removes everything. So maybe we can do a little bit of magic for removing extraneous building pieces that are no longer needed when you're doing a renovation. Who knows? Lots of little things that will sort of fall out of this design that we have to sort of explore. Let's see, 1 voxel above the ground. What else in here? Goblin jerk. Yeah, I totally was responsible for Goblin jerk. Oh god, the unnecessary scaffolding. Yeah, it's gone. More goblin reminiscing. Oh wow, lots of people have been talking. Sorry, let me get caught up. Let's see. Michael Handy, some more suggestions about that. Awesome. Let's see. The pretty shelving. Yeah, the shelving is actually absolutely like. I actually was only playing with it myself just for the first time like a week ago or so, and like. Especially around like the carpenter's workshop, like it looks fabulous, and it feels like yeah, this is a workshop now. Like it's a very strange kind of feeling. We have stockpile shelves now. In theory, yep. Always start it. Yeah, that's how I hedge my bets. That's the weasel word that allows you to like. As it turns out, this is an NP hard problem, so we can't do this after all. Is there any way we can get floor patterns? Okay, we can't change the colors unless we hand make them, and that takes forever. Do you want customized floor patterns? Is that basically what you're looking for? Yeah, or as Rated Mally asks, yeah, I mean just more. So yeah, if you're asking about color customization, that's an interesting one that we sort of floated a little bit. It seems kind of like a no-brainer to increase our palette size and give you some options for playing with colors. I guess we will see. Michael Handy says, to suggestion, when you expand, maybe when you click the build and click edit after it's already built, add widgets in the area you want to select, expand, and edit. Maybe when you click the build and click edit after it's already built, add widgets to the area you want to. Well, you have to know what you're going to be doing. Like, okay, so imagine this. This is done. This is a done building. And now I want to edit it. If I bring up the building editor, in fact, you can actually see the building widgets are here. They really shouldn't be. They're actually just overlapping incorrectly with the actual structure that's rendering over here. And in fact, that's actually what we do in the current one. There is no blueprint to look like. In the old editor, like if I can do this, let's see if I can. Will this blow things to pieces? I should be able to just go and do an insta build if nothing else. Yeah. So there's nothing here to edit. Like it's just this is the structure, and that's sort of the way we've kind of sort of semantically defined it, I guess you could say. So you could imagine maybe what we do is we do a thing like, I wonder if I do this, what happens if I? Yeah. Okay. So there you go. It's like, okay, how do I show the edited structure, which I have just done? In fact, I can make this really obvious. How do I show the edited structure? Yeah. I'm so happy this isn't crashing. On top of the underlaid structure. So you would have to know that, okay, here is this roof. We're going to hide this roof because it's actually part where you're editing the blueprint. So we're going to make that go away. And is it just completely invisible? Is it semi-transparent? How do you... This worked really well. Okay, I have never tried this before. I'm actually... So what if we just did that? Okay, so if we just hid the crap that was underneath. And we know what it is because we have the mapping that goes back from the building widget all the way down to the structure. So we could say and we know what you're editing because we have all the mutated data. So we can hide anything that is now being edited. The only question is how you start this experience, but I can imagine another way where I click on the building and it brings up, stats about the building as doing this normally does. And then there's also a thing where it's begin at renovate or whatever. So you click the renovate button, and the renovate button, would it create selection widgets without rendering maybe that would work. We could create widgets. No, that wouldn't work because the widget, he said, I'm sorry, I'm thinking out loud. This must be so entertaining for you all. Does that work? The widgets, the actual editable handles and the highlight, the yellow crap, all of that is that's actually attached to the selection component. And the selection component is getting its stuff from UI. Oh yeah, it's getting it from UI widgets. Maybe there's a way where, so what I would love to see is it's just the building. It looks exactly like it does in real life. In rendered form, it's done, it's complete. And then you go and you still see all these widgets. So you can pull on anything. And when you do, it changes. And suddenly this thing, becomes maybe it just disappears. It just disappears and you don't see it anymore and it's hidden and you have, actually, I haven't even pointed this out. And you probably can't even tell. Because this is like recording in 720p, so I doubt you have the fidelity. If you look at, let's look at this structure. Oh yeah, and we're doing anti-aliasing when we shouldn't be. If you look at this structure, it should look pretty sharp. And when I click, especially if you look around like the edges over here of the windows, it probably looks a little bit blurry. I'm playing with this. This isn't done yet, but this is the idea: is to go into building mode, everything becomes blurry and kind of ephemeral and doesn't look real, and your building looks real. So you know, and then only the building that you're editing, in fact, looks real. So you know exactly what you're working on, and you can also see the color of it. It's not going to be semi-transparent, so that when it's night, you can't even tell what anything looks like. It was a nice try, but not quite the nicest thing in the world. So you could imagine that that will just extend, where this would look like this, but you would have access to the widgets, and then, yeah, and exactly like this. Exactly like this, actually, except that you'd want the roof to disappear, you'd want the walls, but we know what the walls are because we have it. Okay, so this this might not be that bad. It's not going to be the first thing. This is not coming out and you know, when you actually get this onto unstable. But it might not be bad. Might not be bad at all. Thank you for prompting me. I wouldn't even dared pulling that. I'm surprised I did that on stream. That's really, really funny. Let me go back. I've probably been talking and talking and talking. Floor patterns. That's where we were. What materials to build with? Yeah, that would be nice. Just more colors patterns to do. Doorknob switch sides when you switch mode. Oh, neat. You're absolutely right. Well, that's the old guy. Who's right? We probably didn't have orientation information. There's a lot of like, oh, I got fixtures working, and then I moved on. And like fixtures are actually kind of nasty, like fixtures like doors and whatnot. And so this is just the rotation is like probably completely like borked. So like the right thing in the right volume, but flip it around 180 degrees. Yeah, getting fixtures working is going to be fun. I'm so happy this isn't crashing. Yeah, Chris 2018. That's Chris 2017 and Chris 2016 as well. Okay, example. To editing, I already built building. Yeah, and I add a door to the east wall. Then I click on the widget in the east wall, which allows me to edit. Yeah, so that's the thing. And that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, is how do we... The current system is a little bit tied to the idea that you're clicking on these widgets, whereas this is sort of a built structure. But that's the only thing. That's the only thing that's missing. And if we can do something with structures where we put them into an editable mode, we can get some widget backing to it. We would have all we need. We would have all we need. Have I saved? I should probably save. Nah, there's nothing to save. This is fine. This is all good. It's all pushed to the depot. You don't have to worry about it. I need a GIF with all Chris gestures. It's there. I'm sure you could make it. Hearing thoughts is always nice. Place a door, move the wall out, and then go to the building blueprint as normal. Yeah. The creative thought process. Yeah, Amish Cyborg, which is an amazing name, by the way. How would that work? Like, are you a wooden cyborg? Never mind. Yeah, that is exactly it. That is exactly the thought process. Look at how happy he is. I am happy. This is awesome. This is really, really cool. This could work. This could work. This is a good like attempt, I think, or it's worth like that late night hack, just to see if I can just get some of the underlying sort of UI infrastructure in. If it is, yeah, this could be pretty neat. Are the widgets going to look like that? Oh God, no. Yeah, so the UI is going away like this week. These widgets, not gonna be this week, but very, 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 very soon. Arrows, probably in a sensible place. There's still some weird stuff we have to work out, like if I do this, put my room down, like here I'm dragging the wall, this is dragging the wall, and I'm resizing that, but like over here, this is the floor, and like, but the floor moves all the walls. So like, I want to make this obvious to someone where, like, and The Sims does it with like, they do like a double click thing, where it's like, you mouse over a room, and you're actually selecting the room. So, and then you click, and then you like right click, and you bring up another damn context menu, and you click another thing, and then you get access to the wall. I'm not super thrilled with that. Maybe there is no good way, or maybe there's a way to like, I don't know, suggest to the user what they have to do. But I would love to like, this is so nice and tactile, and like I can just drag stuff out and put this back, and like I don't have to go through sub menus, and I don't know. Sometimes you have to compromise in the name of like, you know, actual discoverability and usability. But yeah, so there's a handful of questions like that that have to be resolved, and yeah, let's actually have some actual arrows that indicate what the thing is actually going to be doing. So you're saying the old bug rotating buildings might come back? Yeah, it probably will. Well, it's going to come back for us, and then we'll fix the damn thing. We were actually Justin was actually going through some of the old rotation code today, looking at it, and it's terrifying. Like we've done a lot. We've fixed a lot of dumb stuff in building. Like the new building core is way better. The building UX is coming along well. There's definitely some edges to it, but on the whole, I mean, hopefully you've seen that the usability is drastically improved, and the actual code quality is pretty good too. I don't think we could do anything about rotations. Rotations are just getting the coordinate system stuff right, and then getting what rotations mean around what thing, and doing all these. Forget it. It's awful. It's awful, awful. Oh, how close to the new building system? And instead of widgets, hammers with small arrows. Like I want to construct here. Oh, that's kind of cute. Like, are you talking about like the actual arrows that are coming out of this? Like, I like the idea that they're stone arrows. Although if it's going to be a voxel, we don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a voxel. This is one of those places where it's like, maybe we want to break the theme a little bit. I mean, keep it angular, but like something that definitely implies, or at least if it was a sub-voxel level, it might be good enough. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so the arrow is great. It's where you put it, and the fact that you have to know to select the floor, and also like, are we even doing this? Like, do walls, like if I do this right now, for example, you have this gap, you have the tooth now, on between the sandwich between the two walls. Some people are not going to want that. They're going to want like this should be flush and it should be of uniform color. And you could of course paint it that way, but we haven't actually settled on this. Like, do we want to just go and keep the walls on top of floors, or do we want to go and set them in? And if we set them in, then you have nothing to click on unless you sort of go over. So there are ways around these things. There are some solutions. We shall see. I've encountered a bug many times recently, which has been plaguing my games in random villagers just not doing anything. In a recent game, all of my villagers stood idle. I couldn't do anything. Do you know fixing? We'll be fixing it next build. My first question would be: does it happen when you reload the game? Like if you save and then exit and then go back in, and you're like, okay, do they start doing stuff again? If not, that's extremely concerning. If so, then I mean, it's still concerning. If none of them are doing anything, go and post onto our discourse. We're generally pretty active about going and picking up bug reports. If you can get our your machine specs, a save game would be fantastic. And then like maybe like a screenshot of them idling, because there's actually, if you look in the lower corner, we have this little like task manager over here. I'm just clicking on the green bar that brings it up. Maybe they're stuck doing lots of work and thinking, and they're just not completing any of their thoughts. There's a lot of performance work that still remains to be done on Stonehearth. We are not done on that. So those are the sorts of things that are really, really helpful to us for diagnosing. But yeah, head on over to, I guess, to go to www.stonehearth.net, and you'll find the discourse there. There will be a link to it, and you can go and help us out and give us a bug report, hopefully. Yeah, new builder on unstable. So yes, A23 is now stable. Oh, I meant when in blueprinting. Oh, interesting. Maybe awkward, maybe not. Especially if you have a huge building, opening up the whole thing would be terrifying. Like, it's okay. You could do it. It's fine. You could do that. But yeah, what if you just did it on a widget level? So you're like, okay, I only want to edit this guy, and then boom, you've got your Michael, this is a programmer solution. Holy crap, man! I'm not even kidding you, because that's exactly the kind of like shortcut. Like, it's a shortcut, but it's not a bad shortcut. I love the metaphor as well, that you would like, oh, I want to edit this and I want to edit that, and then we could transitively do stuff, because like when you start editing this wall, you're actually editing these two, but that's fine, no biggie. Yeah, interesting. If I try to build something inside, if I wanted to attach, does that work? that gets a little bit weirder looking. But on the other hand, if you say edit, yeah, I don't want to have two buttons though. I don't want to have like a building and you click edit, and then it's in edit mode, and then you go and you click another icon and you say, oh, I want to edit this guy over here. That's something to think about though. I like where that was going. I could see some edges to it, but it's interesting. It's interesting. And again, there's some cheapness there that cheaper implementation that I like a lot. We'll see. It's a neat suggestion. What else? Oh, crap. It's almost 10 o'clock. Okay, some more questions. Every alpha starts getting new things I don't want to give up, but things were breaking a little too much for me. Yeah, unstable is unstable. Yeah, the plan is to get the new builder into the game with parallel. Yeah, what I want to have happen is like once the new builder is in like thoroughly, you can still edit your old build. So you can't edit. You can like destroy your old buildings. You can click on them. You can get stats on them. If they're in the process of building, they would build. But otherwise, like we're gonna give that thing the heave ho. We should be able to convert all your templates into the new system. They won't be smart. They'll probably be all blocks, like voxel blocks, as opposed to like smart enough to be able to go and make them walls and roofs and whatnot. But you should also be able to, but this also means you'll be able to edit them after the fact, which is kind of neat. And they should also have those sort of semantic attributes attached to them, so they'll still function correctly in the view modes. From my experience, relating to Go, it is somewhat fixed, but after a while. Interesting. Okay. That's weird. Yeah, I really want that saved then, because that's cool. Actually, that's okay. That's interesting and concerning, but also the fact that it actually happens on load. Yeah, please. Okay, now please head over to the forum. Post your save. Do @moderators. I'm sorry, I don't actually remember the semantics for it. Get our attention, and we can go and look at that and try to diagnose that, because that sounds more AI than anything else, and that's definitely like something we need to be able to go and reproduce and then fix. So please, edit tool, select the area you want to edit. Yeah, that's kind of what Michael Handy was saying. That might work. Fingers are crossed. Some building shops, some don't. I found one of the causes of the build, and they were destroyed and rebuilt over the new building. It would cause the issue with that build. That's crazy. Yeah, that's not going to happen here. I have no idea why that's happening. In the old one, it is not going to happen here. This is, yeah, I don't know if you were late to the stream or not. We've got the at least the RPG happening now for the, well, okay, it's not happening for the structures, but it's happening for the building blueprints. It's a totally new system, totally redesigned. Relatively simple, and also, like, 100 times faster or 1,000 times faster, so you should be able to go and view everything. Actually, does this work as well? Yeah, and then you've got the up and down motion as well, so you can peel away layers when you're trying to figure out how what stuff is going to look like. Now you know what? I think that's just about it. It is 10 o'clock. It's getting very close to my bedtime. I'm late by 8 months, maybe 10. Yeah. So on that, that's where we're at. Coming pretty soon. You're not going to be waiting long now. As you can see, we still have like a bunch of like kinks and bugs to work out. We've got a new UI to put in, but things are trending pretty well, so it should not be particularly long. Thank you all for thank you guys. Thank you all for attending and asking such great questions. Oh, I'm going to answer one last one. As a new editor in the new building, able to repair damaged buildings, that is the goal. That's part of the renovation thing. So, like, fingers crossed that will make it in. Yeah, how are you going to sleep now with all this hype? Oh, do a stream for an hour. that'll wear you out, or at least it wears me out anyway. So yeah, so that's all for now. Hopefully I'll see you, I guess, in another couple of weeks. We'll see. But given how long it is, I think by then we'll have you'll hopefully have the builder in your hands, and a chance to at least on unstable, if you're willing, and and again, God willing, and the creek don't rise and nothing major comes up, we can go and get lots of feedback and talk about your experiences and see where you're at, and you can see where we're at. So with that said, I'm going to be signing off. See you guys around.